Okay, I'm here this afternoon with Thorsten Landstein of GST Autoleather. And Thorsten has just been talking at the Tannery of the Future seminar as part of the Leather Forum. And Thorsten, I was just going to ask you a couple of questions. And one of the points you were making was that you were worried about the quality of raw material.
Yes.
What do you think's going on there, and what need we do about it?
I think number one is that it's really neglected, as I said earlier, and one of the reasons is the animal treatment, especially in the first months, in the first 6 to 12 months. You can see clearly that there's a deterioration in quality. You see a lot of avoidable problems on the animal taken care of. And I think if we can go backwards and educate more the farmer or the let's say the breeder of the animal, and we can help them to understand how important the hide actually is for us and how much we are losing by neglecting basically the animal. And one thing is also clear for me, I always call it the fifth quarter. It's actually from the meat industry is the hide. And if you really look into this tough market for the beef or the beef, then you can see that sometimes even the hide itself can be sometimes of more value than what you earn out of the beef selling or beef industry.
When I began in the trade, I accept it's quite a long time ago, there used to be very strong hide improvement societies.
Yes.
And the tanners, we always used to know where our hides came from, and we always used to dialogue with both the abattoirs and the farmers. Has that completely ended now?
I wouldn't say completely ended. I mean, I can see there is also here in China or in Japan, I mean, you go to the Kobe beef, for example, and there is another organization in northern China where this is going a step backwards, but it's very seldom that you really see and can trace, especially where we make leather now so-called a commodity, which makes it even more complex to go backwards and find out where is the hide coming from and so on and so on. And when you go to Europe and you want to buy hides, they always call the South German bull, but at the end of the day they are getting trafficking all over Europe until they end up where they are. And I think this needs to go in another direction. Help the farmer to be better, see that they understand the value we do, and from there we can hopefully create another kind of quality in the market, which then me as an end consumer, where we cut the leather and ship it to the sewing parts to the industry, I can add more value. So it's instead of going the way everything goes cheap, we can add value in the beginning, and then from there you can basically make more money out of your hide. And you ask the question, is it finally totally stopped? I have a very, very hard to believe scenario where I really believe it is lost. And also if you really look into it, who has the knowledge to go backwards into that area and teach the people or go there and take also the energy to try to explain and do it. I mean, when I started in the industry, there was in Germany an organization who nothing else, I mean, they had a project set up where everything was basically into that direction. So we did studies, we sent it backwards, we knew where the hides come from, we visited the farmer, we visited the slaughterhouses, because we also should not forget, not only the hide or the farmer is the problem, sometimes also when you go at these major or massive slaughterhouses, for them it's all about how quickly can the animal be basically the carcass taken off and the skin taken off the carcass, and everything is also in their area is speed and is also cost. So sometimes I see so many damages which actually happening to the hide in the slaughterhouse itself, not only at the farmer. But this is I call it vertical integration, where we need to go backwards in the chain and start from the beginning.
A big organization like yours should be having enough power to initiate something there, or do you think perhaps you don't have that power? Or
I think we have at least we do it. We try to do it, but sometimes it's ending somewhere. I mean, there's large, huge suppliers nowadays. We heard today from we had one in the room from Tyson, and I think that's why he knows me well. I know him well because I take pictures, I send it back, and I say, look at this, look at that problem, and let's try it backwards. But they also, for themselves, they only buy the cattle in the market after it's already over the 6 or 12 months before they go in the feedlot and standing in the feedlot. So the damage is already done before. And that chain also has to go out. So because it's the trafficking of animals around the world is unbelievable nowadays, which was not that bad in the beginning.
So it's much more complex now
Yes.
than it was 40 years ago.
Correct.
One of the other points you were making was the need for tanneries to have leathers that effectively form a platform on
Yes.
which they do business, whereas they're very reliant on, I think you, to quote you, cut and paste from chemical companies. Would you like to just evolve that comment a bit more?
Yeah, what I'm referring to is when you start the processing. I mean, many years ago, every tannery had an individual product. They had, let's call it like a fingerprint to the tanner, to the tannery, and so on. That disappeared over the years more and more. And I think in future, to make automotive leather or in that direction, we have to have a kind of a platform where you have a multi-flexible wet blue or wet white, whatever this will be in future. Let's say an preserved standard from that level. The same is for crust. You will have maybe an outperforming crust formulation, which then can be used for multiple flexible OEMs, which then allows you to basically reduce lead time, stock, and for sure cost in that term. But everything can help you to also be more flexible with a flexible platform, either way, like wet blue or whatever that tent construction will be. The crust, multiple flexible, plus a finishing system, which possibly needs to be, you have to have like a 2 or 3 kind of systems to serve each an individual OEM or customer. But I think by doing that, you can reduce drastically your lead times, stock items, and definitely, I mean, we heard it today a few times, speed, or the speed in the industry. We need to do this, otherwise we are too long in the lead time inside the tannery and the throughput. So I believe there is a lot of things possible, but that's basically where we will go.
So if we begin to rethink how we build our leathers, we can begin to meet the demands that Adidas were talking about in terms of time, and that you were expressing already exist in
Yes.
the automobile industry.
Yes.
But it involves, you were also saying, finding a lot more top-rate technical people,
Yes.
very well trained.
I think maybe to explain a bit more how I look at it. First of all, when you have a robust engineering, so-called, in the automotive industry, you can be expedite the change level, and also engineering change in a facility where you say, I need to go from this construction to another construction. And if you have that robust engineering platform, you can expedite or execute much quicker a change in a tannery. But to do so, to building an engineering platform, and also to have people doing this job in a tannery to basically have that change, we need much more professional, educated and trained leather technician or leather engineer or whatever we call it. But for me, these are leather specialists. And you not make an SOP, give it to the floor and believe that the person knows now how to make a product. It is much more complex than what it sounds. And I think for that we need to look around the world. There is certain area, like in India, I see there is more and more change that the people understand. So universities are growing. The number of people are visiting the university to learn leather is going up right now. But in other areas, like in Europe or in many parts of Southern or Central America, it's disappearing. So what we have a problem with, we have a few thousand employees. And if you really look at it, you have in each area only very, very limited leather specialists, which are able to handle all the challenges we have. And I refer to both. So the one is you need good people to develop, good people to have, and a robust system to have in research and development. On the other hand, I think we need also to look at engineering change level and the speed and how quickly can we do changes in the tannery. I mean, automotive is pretty slow. If you look at the shoe industry learned over the years to have a very flexible engineering change and engineering change level, where in the automotive industry I still feel we are too slow to do these changes, or we are not robust enough to basically making the change without mistake. So there's still area to improve, but if you have a more robust platform, a more robust engineering change and engineering development to do that, I think there's also less error, less quality issues, less concerns, returns or rejects. And by doing so, I think that is something we definitely have a big chance to improve.
A very interesting point to end on and a challenge for the industry.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.